Hello everyone, Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense. Thank you for watching. I have another Monday quarterback video for you. I'm going to play this video and talk about things that are going on to better explain what's going on and talk about things that I think that are being done right and or done wrong. This video comes from New Jersey's Attorney General's office. New Jersey does things a little bit different when it comes to these videos. They don't have a spokesperson. They don't follow a typical critical incident briefing type of format. They literally just take video files, put them on their website, and you have to click each file to play what's going on and then read the news release to figure out what the hell's going on. So with that being said, I'll read to you the news release and then I'll go in and play the multiple videos associated with this incident. So the news release for this came out February 28, 2023. The incident occurred on January 5, 2023. The news release, Attorney General's office today released video footage from body-worn cameras and surveillance cameras related to the death of Raul de Jesus. I don't know how you pronounce that, so I'll just refer to him as suspect from here on out. 43 of Newark, who collapsed and later died after being pursued on foot by Newark Police Department officers on Thursday, January 5, 2023. Preliminary investigation shows that shortly before 3:42 p.m., Officer Alberto Vera approached the suspect in the area of Orange Street and South 11th Street in connection with a homicide that had occurred in Patterson on December 10, 2022. The suspect fled on foot through various yards and collapsed on an embankment along Route 280 westbound in the area of mile marker 12.8, where he was located and taken into custody by police officer Nicholas Miller. Suspect was transported to the University Hospital and pronounced deceased at 4:41 p.m. All right, so that's the information on this. We'll start with the first video.
Turn around for me.
What?
Real quick. What do you mean?
Turn around for what?
574 orange. Okay? Don't do that.
Yeah. Get away from this.
All right, very short video. This is why you don't use magnetic mounts for cameras. I don't know for sure that he's using a magnetic mount, but I highly suspect that he was. There's really no good reason why magnetic mounts should be being used at this point when it has been shown that they are extremely unreliable in keeping the camera attached to a person. Do not use magnetic mounts, or this is most likely to happen. This officer is lucky that he didn't get involved in a shooting with this guy, because if he had gotten involved in a shooting with this guy, the camera would not have been in there to capture everything, and that could have played against the officer. If he didn't have the video evidence to back him up, it could have been more difficult to exonerate the officer. It could be a more drawn out long process. May not have played out very well for him. Body cameras are useful. They help capture video, audio evidence of what was going on, and they can help exonerate you. They can help that investigative process that goes on and clear your name. In the absence of any video, it's your word against their word, or the family's attorney's word. And then it goes to a jury, or can go to a jury. And in a trial, a jury trial, that's probably one of the most scariest things. Because you're dealing with people who are general public. And general public can be very stupid. And in certain places, very anti-police. Yeah. Also, furthermore, he should have had the camera activated before ever getting out of the vehicle. He is going up to engage with a person who is wanted in connection with a murder investigation. They haven't released any details about that murder investigation other than it was like a 50-something-year-old person who got shot and killed. But no details on how this guy was involved in that. Don't know if he was the killer, if he was there when it happened, he was an accomplice somehow. Don't know. But we do know, obviously, that based off this, there was enough of something for this officer to detain this guy because he's wanting him to turn around and put him in cuffs. That means there's enough evidence there to support the detaining of this guy. Especially if it occurred in another location, another city. It apparently occurred in Patterson. They're in Newark. So that tells me there's most likely a warrant out for this guy. And since it's in relation to a homicide, for the evidence aspect of it, you want that camera on. You want it on, you want it recording. And secondly, why you want it on and recording before dealing with someone like this is because they were involved in a frickin' murder. They could go kinetic at any moment. And it's always best to have that camera on before you start dealing with people, because if it turns kinetic, you may forget to turn the camera on. You may wait too long to turn it on because you're dealing with the fight. And then once you have the ability to regain yourself and then, hey, I need to turn this camera on, and you turn it on, you've done missed everything. The buffer mode can't capture everything going on, and you may have missed that window of opportunity for some video to be captured on buffer mode. And again, the videos help exonerate. It can help speed that process up. So mistake number one for this guy was not having his camera turned on, in my opinion. So you can see this guy's coming this way. He knows this car is here. He knows it's a police car. You can tell it's a police car. Black and white. Has traffic written on here. Can't see the rest of the vehicle, but I imagine if it's got traffic written on this right here, it's probably got some emblems on the side of the vehicle. So he knows it's a police car. He gets out. He makes his little beeline across the road here, just going along. This guy's playing it pretty cool, right? Like he's acting nonchalant, like, oh, nah, these police ain't here for me, bro. I ain't gonna act like I know they here for me. Walking on, thinking, this officer could be here for some other unrelated thing, which that does happen. Officers many times are around people who are wanted, and they have no idea they're wanted, but they're there for something else. So this guy's just kind of playing it cool. Nothing's happened right off the bat. It's just an officer there doesn't mean he's actually there for him, but he actually is. So he's trying to play it cool, trying to walk along, acting like nothing's happening. The officer obviously said something to him, and it got his attention.
Turn around for me.
What?
Real quick. What do you mean?
Turn on for what?
574 orange. Okay? Don't do that.
No. Get away from this.
Okay? What do you mean?
Turn
Turn around for me.
What?
Real quick. What do you mean?
Turn for what?
574 orange. Okay? Don't do that.
For what?
Turn around for me. Turn around for me.
For what?
Real quick. What do you mean?
Turn for what?
574 orange.
So you can hear on the radio traffic, he's asking him what this guy's location is, and he tells him that he's on Orange Street.
Okay? Don't do that. Don't do that. Orange. Okay?
So it almost seems like it's a possibility that this officer saw this guy, recognized that he was wanted for this, murder investigation, and then decided to pop out on him. And then that he radioed in what was going on, and then other people trying to, figure out where he's exactly at and everything. Sometimes, you got to be quick to jump out and catch someone, right? Without having other people there. For this particular thing, I think that it could have been okay for the officer to just watch where the guy was going and see which house he went into, and then get the rest of the cavalry there and go from there. I think on something like this, there is a high risk of as soon as you get out to make contact, boom, they're going to take off. They're going to start going. So nothing totally wrong with this, getting out on this guy after recognizing him and then trying to take him into custody. Happens a lot. A lot of times it can be successful, but there is that higher risk, especially the circumstances of the case and what he's wanted for. Pretty high risk that this guy's either going to fight or he's going to run. Very low risk or very low chance of him actually submitting and letting you put the cuffs on. Again, similar circumstances. It's worked for other people, but I think probably the better option would have been watch him, see which house he goes into, and try to get more people there, and then go from there. Listen to the officer's voice.
For what?
Turn around for me.
For what?
Real quick. What do you mean?
Turn for what?
574 orange. Okay? Don't do that.
I don't think this officer had a very strong command presence. I think that this suspect looked at him, sized him up, and was not intimidated by this officer in any way. I think that at first, the suspect may have even thought about fighting the officer. You see him do some telegraphing moves with his eyes. It's called target glancing. So you see him looking down to his belt area and to the side, which indicates to me that he was looking at the officer's gun. So I think he had some brief thoughts in his head about fighting this officer, and or he was assessing how the officer was standing, how he had his hands positioned, like where his gun was, taking that into account, orientating himself, observing and orientating himself to make decisions and then act on that. But I just do not believe that he took this officer serious enough to submit to him. I don't think the officer approached it the right way, especially when dealing with a suspect in a murder investigation. I think that he should have got out and had a weapon drawn, because he's dealing with someone involved in a murder. That's high risk. When you do something high risk, you bring out your lethal cover. So I think that this officer failed in having lethal cover out because this dude could have turned kinetic instantaneously. I think if he would have approached it as getting out of the car, drawing weapon on the guy, giving very loud verbal commands, there's a possibility the dude could have submitted. He could have said, "Oh shit, this guy's got the drop on me. He's got the gun pointed at me. It's a wrap. Like, I do anything, he's going to shoot me." And he may have laid down at that point and went into custody. He could have also ran. He could have also, very likely he could have just kept on going and took off running. If the officer didn't get out with the gun pointed at him and everything, then I think that as he made the approach, I think if he would have had a more aggressive tone in his voice, took a more aggressive posture, then I think that could have also had a different outcome on this. Speaking softly to someone and sounding unsure about what you're telling them, having any type of pause or hesitation or quiver in your voice, like, people pick up on that. Like, you can talk to a person and tell if they're nervous or not, just based off their voice alone. We can't see the officer's posture, what he looks like, or anything like that. That also has a role in it as well. If you look soft, people pick up on that, and they're going to exploit that. There's some officers out there, when you look at them, you're like, how'd this person become an officer? Like, they don't look tough at all. And sometimes that's misleading. Sometimes they are the meanest motherfucker on that agency. But there's a lot of times where if they look soft, they are soft, right? And I think that a lot of officer-involved shootings, not all of them, but I do think that there's a lot of officer-involved shootings that have occurred because the suspect didn't take the officer serious. They saw him as soft, saw him as a bitch, and felt like they could take him. And it ended up going into a scenario where the officer ended up being forced to have to use deadly physical force. Because at the very onset of it all, they did not instill fear in anyone. They didn't intimidate anyone. That could be a whole nother video in and of itself, but I'm going to just leave it right there and say that I think this officer could have had a little bit more command presence, been a little bit more intimidating instead of all soft-voiced with this guy. Alright, so this was the first video. There's a couple more body cam footages and some surveillance footage. We'll go ahead and get into those. Here is some surveillance footage. You'll see the suspect run through this little opening between two houses. He goes to the right, and then you'll see the officer come through, and he starts to go to the left, and then he figures out the guy went to the right, and he goes to the right. And then it'll cut to another surveillance footage that shows a better overall view of where they're at. Now, one thing I want to say is the thing that sucks about chasing someone and that person having a long lead on you, they can set up an ambush. So we see, let me bring it back to the guy. Alright, so at this point, let's count. Okay. 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000, 4 1,000, 5 1,000, 6 1,000, 7 1,000, 8 1,000, 9. So almost 10-second lead. This guy could have jumped to the left and hid behind. This looks like maybe a fridge or something right there. He could have jumped to the left and hid right there. I don't know what's in between this and that. He could have been in this little spot right there. He could have been waiting in ambush. And this officer's coming up. He's running. He does get his gun out. And then he clears the holster, or I'm sorry, not clear the holster, but he puts the gun back into the holster itself. That's kind of a dangerous thing, coming up on corners like this. That's why some agencies have it in their policies that if an officer loses sight of a suspect during a foot chase, to stop pursuing them, because they don't know if they could be running into an ambush or not. I don't think that should be a in stone policy. Like, you lose sight of them, you just stop. I think it's something that is obviously needs to be trained on and discussed, and let those officers formulate their own decision on whether or not they're going to stop based on the environment. Because you just can't take one policy and make it apply to every single scenario. There's going to be some scenarios where that policy, it doesn't work for. Like, it makes no sense. But that is a risk when a person has at least a 10-second lead on you and they start to go out of sight, or they are out of sight. You don't know if they've set up ambush or not. Alright, let's go on to the next surveillance footage. Okay, so here is the other camera footage. So this right here was the walkway that they came running out of. You can see a little bit more angle and more view of what's going on here. So again, that guy could have ducked in right there, been waiting in ambush. Heck, he could have even tried one of these doors and gone into the little shed right here. He could have gone left and head to the other side of this fridge. Just don't know where exactly he could have gone after losing sight. But let's hit play and see what happens. Damn, that looked like that hurt. Oh, shit. Let's see that again. Damn. It's like watching one of those skateboarding accidents. You're just like, oh. Damn, man. That had to hurt. Whew. Damn. Yeah, that's one of the things that sucks about going over fences like that, and there being, unkept property on the other side. Doesn't make going over the obstacles very easy. So here's something else to think about and consider. This guy, he's climbing on top of this truck, and climbed over this, climbed on the truck. This officer has no idea he's over here. This dude could have very easily jumped down and then jumped into the back of this truck and laid flat in the bed. And this officer could have, ran all the way down this way, and boom, never would have known that he was there. He could have also potentially gone into this yard area, hid back over in here, gone into the shed potentially. Well, maybe not. That looks like maybe a lock hanging off of it. Could have gone under this little back porch table tent thing area, gone, potentially to the other side of this house and gone back out to the front street area. Who knows? He could have, done a bunch of different options here. Officer never would have known. exactly where he was at. But I think what got him was he gets on this vehicle, and I think that hitting this thing made enough noise, or he just happened to turn his head in time and hear or see this guy going right here. He's so close. Boom, dude takes a dive. Now this right here is another dangerous position, because this dude could have been laying on the ground, got his gun out, and then boom, be aiming up here. So kind of a crappy situation to be in. Now this thing's teeter-tottering, not the most stablest platform to be on. And then, dude, he just face plants. Like, God, that had to... Oh, I bet that hurt. But he shakes it off. He keeps going. Persistent. Then they disappear around the house. So you can tell that even the suspect is, like, he's winded, right? Like, he's gassed. Watch how slowly he just takes off. Like, he's not even jogging or anything anymore. He just starts a walking pace. Oh. All right. So let's go to the next. Alright, so I don't know exactly how much time has transpired since the officer face planted on the picnic table, but some amount of time has gone by, because now there's a lot of officers all at once in this area. So the officer said that he could see the guy jump down in the embankment area around the underpass, but they don't know exactly where he's at now. They do know he's on foot in the area. They just have not found him yet. But they end up finding him real quick. And so here's this footage, and then we have another footage from just another perspective. Nothing wrong with audio. It is in buffer mode.
Don't you fucking reach for shit! Show me your fucking hands! Show me your fucking hands! Show me your hands right now! Show me your hands right now! Yo, watch the flag! Watch the flag! Don't you move! Don't you fucking reach for shit! Don't you move! You're fucking dead! You move, you're dead! You move, you're dead! You got it. Come on, hold your feet! Hold your feet! Stand up! That's all I want to hear from. Locate sharply. Alright, he's good. You good? Yeah, stand up. I know. You guys got a card on there? Nobody got a card on there? Alright, come on, let's stand up, yo. On your feet, on your feet, man. No, roll him down the hill, who cares? Take him down the hill. Bring your card. Hold on. Bro, stop being a bitch. Stop, bro. They bring the car? Yeah, they bring the car. Huh? Your bus? Yeah. Down the hill onto 280. We're on 280. We're on 280. Mile marker 12.8? 12.8? Sit up so you can breathe. Sit up. Sit on your butt. Sit up. Oh, your radio. My foot went into something. Sitting on the ground. Make sure he's not on the ground. Call EMS, right? Sure. Yeah, they call EMS. Call EMS? Look at your radio. Jesus Christ. That's a blue team. Yeah, look over. That's an IA Pro. That was the last one. I thought I looked crazy, dude. He was driving. Sarge said, look over the overpass. He jumped off. I hop up right here. He's hiding right here underneath the fucking shrubs.
Yeah, he was sure. He was like, I know he dropped down. So. Keep your eye on him, though. I looked over, I saw you last minute.
You're gonna hit your head on that pole, bro. Relax.
Man, you're
gonna hit your head on this pole. My shoe is soaked in liquids. I don't want to know what it is.
Oh, you're back there. I know you're back there.
That is me recording.
Is that what sit here? Stand up.
Roll it down the hill. In front of the car?
Okay. Go back into this. So like I said, at first they had no idea where he was at. And then, boom, discovered where he was. So even at this point, I think that his body camera should have been on. You know, you're on the scene of this incident. You're actively looking for someone. If you suddenly find them, you're going to have to go to hands-on with something. And it's best if your camera is already on and recording, because that's one less thing you need to be dicking around with and worrying about. And because in an emergency situation like that, you could forget to turn the camera on. So always best to have cameras on and recording. If you end up recording a bunch of frivolous bullcrap most of the time, oh well, so be it. I'd rather you record a bunch of frivolous bullcrap than to get into such a bad, complacent mindset with things and practices and be late to turn the camera on, and then something happened and you end up forgetting to turn it on, and then you miss critical stuff that could help exonerate you. So always have the camera on. So there's a bunch of junk down here. We got milk crates. We got these drink tray things that would hold like little Coke bottles and stuff. Trash bags. I mean, all kinds of junk. You can see more stuff down here. So, and stuff down here. Don't know where all this junk's coming from, but this is a dumping ground. And this guy could have blended in a little bit more, potentially. He could have pulled some of this stuff over top of him, and they may not have ever noticed he was down there. This environment also makes it very difficult to navigate down.
Fucking reach for shit! Show me your fucking hands!
It's very easy to lose your footing and fall.
Show me your fucking hands! Show me your hands right now! Show me your hands right now! Yo, watch the flag! Watch the flag!
Would not be a great place to be fighting at.
Yo, watch the flag! Watch the flag!
Luckily, this guy was towards the tail end of his life. I personally think he probably swallowed some drugs, because they do end up talking about using Narcan on him. An officer says that his eyes are pretty dilated, so I think he probably swallowed some drugs to get rid of them as evidence, or it's even possible that he decided to take them to end himself because he knew it was up and he was going to be going away for murder. But either way, I personally think he took an overdose of drugs, either accidentally or on purpose, and he's in that state right now where he's just like, ooh. It's possible that because he was mid-late 40s that he's experiencing some type of medical issue, like he's having a heart attack. Wouldn't discount that either. That is a real possibility. He could have been having a heart attack. He just can't move as well, and then end up dying at the hospital from cardiac arrest. So those are my two likely possibilities of what has gone on with this guy. But either way, coming down onto this hill, like, that's a sucky environment. So what if this guy did decide to start fighting? Well, now they're on an incline, and they could more easily fall and tumble down this hill and hit whatever's down here. And if there's all this trash down there, there's probably a pretty good chance there's dirty needles down here too. That would suck. Roll down a hill, get stuck in the face with a dirty needle, and get AIDS from it, or something like that. Like, that would suck.
Don't you move! You fucking weak for shit! Don't you move! You fucking gut!
They're giving him very clear and concise verbal instructions. They're telling him what they want, and they're telling him what's going to happen if he doesn't do what they want.
You move, you're dead!
That is the appropriate level of verbal judo, in my opinion, to deal with someone like this. They've taken the appropriate tone and have the appropriate level of aggressiveness in their tone. They're making it clear to this guy, if you fuck around, you're going to find out.
Come on. Hold on.
That's another thing that sucks about this is once they're cuffed, it's a whole lot harder for them to navigate their way down a hill. So now you have to have multiple people holding on to this person to make sure that they don't fall and hurt themselves. Because at this point, if he does fall and hurt himself and they didn't do anything to help him or didn't do enough to prevent that, they're now responsible for him. They could end up being held liable for any injuries that he could incur falling down this hill while handcuffed.
Bro, stop being a bitch.
I think this was a good move. Just simply dragging him down the hill. If he's already laying on the ground, then he can't fall to hurt himself. So I think dragging them down like this was a good option. So this guy's vest, I don't know what's going on with his vest.
12-8.
Not familiar with this particular model. It looks like from the back.
Sit up so you can breathe. Sit up.
So you can see from this vest right here, the back panel, there's like this cummerbund that goes to the front, so it keeps that in place.
On your butt.
Here to go, the front right here would just slap over top of this Velcro right there to keep the front from, you know, flapping around. But obviously that's come undone for him, and now it's flopping around. So Velcro has a shelf life on it. Hook and loop, whatever you want to call it, it doesn't last forever. It will wear out, and it will not stick as good as it used to. And I think that's possibly what's happening with this vest right here. This officer has put this vest on and off so many times that he has wore the Velcro out, and it's just not sticking on there the way it should and keeping the vest properly secured to his torso. When it gets to the point where your Velcro is wearing out, you need to replace your equipment. Otherwise, it's a danger to you if your equipment is not fitting properly. If your PPE does not fit properly, it needs to be fixed and or replaced. So can it be fixed? Potentially. They could have, you know, a contract with a local uniform store there, where they could buy all their stuff from, a seamstress, something like that, where he could take the panels out of that carrier, take the carrier to them, and they could replace the Velcro on it and put new Velcro on there, and it would be like it was brand new. That would be a simple fix, probably a cheaper fix than buying a whole new carrier. The better option, I think, is just buy a whole brand new carrier. I mean, if you're to the point where the Velcro has worn out on that thing, then the rest of the vest itself is probably to the point where it's looking worn and used. It needs to be replaced. The seams or the sewing on some of these other attachments right here could be getting to the point where they're loose and they could very easily rip. So if it's to the point where you got to replace, or you think you need to replace something on a vest as far as Velcro paneling or something like that, just get a whole brand new carrier. They're disposable items anyway. Get a whole brand new carrier. If it's towards the end of that vest life, for example, the panels are about to expire, then obviously just buying a whole brand new vest and everything would be the way to go. Unfortunately, there may be some agencies, you know, they could be like a year away from, you know, the vest being retired and getting a new one. And some, you know, supervisor could be, all right, man, just write it out for, you know, the next couple months and, you know, you get a new vest, blah, blah, blah. That's not a good mindset to be having. That's a poor practice. And that's something that if you're ever told something like that, you need to make sure that things go to a written form of communication. You need to send an email out to someone about, hey, my vest is messed up. It doesn't stay on right. I need a new carrier. The Velcro is broken, whatever. Get them to respond with that bullcrap in written form. That way, if something happens to you, you got yourself a pretty little ticket right there to get paid. Because they would then be responsible for forcing you to use faulty equipment. And you sue them, and you probably won't have to work very much longer after that if you get a big enough settlement. Alright, so let's go on to the next video.
We saw him jump down the underpass along 280 going west. You see from our point of view, grass and leaves here, so it's possible that he is on foot. We got eyes on him. We got eyes on him. You good? Oh, hey, this is tough right here. Oh, we're good over here. We're good over here. We got it. He's a tank. Good. Good. Come on. Come on. You go right there? Drop my camera. Where's that? Yeah, get that. Shit. Shit. We call out.
On your feet, on your feet. Stand up.
Go call out, bro. That's Hayes. That's Hayes' camera, right?
Come on. Thank you, bro. On your feet, on your feet.
Huh? Get a bus? Yeah. Crazy, bro. I thought that was like, when he went down 280. Huh? What's that? Nah. No. He was chasing him. Why the fuck did you do that? He fell.
Yeah, they call him.
Yo,
That's a blue team. Yeah, look over. That's an IA Pro. That was the last one. I thought that was a great experience. He was driving. Sarge said, look over the overpass. He jumped off. I hop up right here. He's hiding right here underneath the fucking shrubs.
Yeah, he was sure. He was like, I know he dropped down, so. Shit, bro. Better keep your eye on him, bro. Huh? Shit, better keep your eye on him.
I was like, what the fuck? I thought like
Yeah, I know. Don't forget your camera, bro. Yeah. That's why I looked over. I saw you last minute. Yeah.
You're gonna hit your head on that pole, bro.
Right, man. You got
Hit your head on this pole.
You got no weapons on you, no?
I just checked the park.
We gonna double check, triple check, or triple check. I know your back hurt. I know your back hurt.
You can't breathe. You wanna stand up?
You wanna stand up? You wanna stand up and sit here?
Stand up.
Come on.
Have a seat right there.
Relax. Try to relax, bro. Go, Macho. Just breathe. We got the ambulance coming for you, okay? Ambulance is coming.
You see my belt?
What happened?
Belt buckle.
Stay like that, then, bro. Stay like that. Stay like
Alright,
that.
stay like that, macho.
I got somebody behind you. Camera purposes, camera fell off back there somewhere.
Want to sit on this side?
Yeah.
Shit. Hey.
Yeah, you just doing sweet machine. You doing
Just making sure you ain't driving, right?
Shit, what?
It's tired. It's a good chase. What's out?
So let's attend the location of 574 Orange. That opposite vehicle is left running at that location. We just want to make sure
I saw it. His body cam up, but I know where he was.
That's
That's his. You got it.
I'm holding you but so much, but you gotta help me out to help you.
Yeah, you gotta like.
You gotta try to help me out to help you.
How you want to do it, bro? You want to sit up? You want to lay down? You want to lay down? Yeah. Listen, bro. You want to lay on?
Get more air by sitting up.
Yeah, you don't want to lay on that, bro. Stay like this. Ambulance is coming. You can lay down on the stretcher, all right? Holy shit. Almost busted it up. Everybody busted up. Almost up.
We got the PWC vehicle and PWC.
It's not even incoherent right now. He's
Let's see that. So 50-50 for the tape. Everything is recovered.
I came from far as up. It was close. I pulled it. Bro, if I didn't look to the left, I would have never followed. I looked over. I was like, oh, look. Yeah. Because they just passed me. I was like, I just saw him. Probably 646 maybe. In Patterson, I think. Something like that. I don't know. The dude that's big. He's the one that said, yeah, he recognized me. That's what it said. But then again, he's moving and tired. I mean, I don't know.
Alright. We are looking for a possible weapon or something?
Yeah, that's what they're looking for.
You think he saw one?
Yeah. He was just checking where he was at. I found him behind the South 12th Street. I found him in the back. No, look, he was just there tired. That's when we stopped.
So you said him yet?
Him?
Yeah. Check his phone. You got ID on him, man?
You got your wallet in here, Macho? Hold on. This feels hard. I know it's gonna poke me, right? My camera's recording audio and video.
Come on in. Yeah, 343. Put it back down. Over by these numbers. See that, but I got you down, dude.
We're doing that right now. We have an ID.
That's not his name, no.
Number 274.
negative right now. They have a bunch of documents. None of them is negative. They think everything You know who called this in? Oh boy, that's bleeding. Oh boy, that's bleeding. Nah, no card here. I don't want to lose this shit. No. You don't got a wallet on you, Nacho? What's your name, man? What's your name?
Hey, you want gloves? My foot is so bad. Jumped up. Sit up, man. Sit up for a second. Yeah, just for him. You couldn't even hear the ball out. I didn't hear it. I said, get the fuck down. Yeah, get the fuck down. I'm saying, I didn't hear any calls.
We got no idea on you, Macho. Dave's last name on the remember? It's
Watch you don't hit his head.
yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
You gotta take this shit back in his pocket.
I know.
You don't need it on this conversation.
Anybody got a Narcan?
His eyes are dilated.
Yo, anybody got a Narcan?
It's not opioids. Something else.
Word.
Something else. EMS.
They got EMS both, right? Good push. Word. Yo! Hey, come on, Macho. Yo! Yo! Gotta try to breathe for me, alright? There we go. Yeah. We got this one. We got that right here. Go both?
He's breathing. It's just. He took something, yeah.
All right, so they've come to the realization that he's probably experiencing an overdose. They can see that obviously he's not breathing very well. They say he's breathing shallow, eyes are dilated, etc. In this sitting position, although he is sitting up, his head has rolled forward, and that can, when you think about, like if you fall asleep in a car and your head is in a forward position, sometimes you can't keep your head in that forward position. You'll end up moving around, and that's because that somewhat impedes the adequate airflow to keep you asleep, right? To prevent any interruptions in your breathing. So try to imagine, or even try it, like lean your head all the way forward and try to relax your body as much as you can, as if you would have been asleep, and you can feel like it will start to go into like a snoring effect when you start breathing in. So try to relax as much as you can. if you do that, like I said, you'll start to get this snoring kind of sound when you do it. Versus if you keep your head up, you don't have that snoring sound, right? So his head being rolled forward like that is, I won't say constricting his airflow, but it is not. It's not a good open airway for him. So something they could have done is simply hold his head up for him to keep his airway more open, or just grab him by the back of the head, by the hair, and lift his head up that way. Probably wouldn't look too great on camera. People would say that's probably abusing him. But if, you know, so for example, you're by yourself or something like that, you can do that. But certainly, you know, they could have pushed his head back for better airflow there. I don't think that in the end any of that would have mattered. I think that he took a lethal dose of drugs, either from the mindset of he's going to destroy evidence, like he had them in a bag or something like that, and he didn't think they would burst in his stomach, or he intentionally swallowed all of what he had because he knew he was going to go away for murder. So one of those two reasons, I think, are most likely at play. Other than that, if it's not drug-related kind of death, then it's possible he just had a heart attack. He's a little bit older. He just started running. You know, probably doesn't run a whole lot, right? And the running aspect plus, you know, fight or flight kicking in, all that stress, him worried about being, you know, taken away for murder, all that, that could have led into him having a heart attack. And then when he got to the hospital, he coded and was gone from there. My bet is most likely drugs. Alright, not much else to talk about with this video. If you like what you hear and see, go ahead and give me a like and a share. If you have not already, hit the subscribe button and stay tuned for more Monday quarterback videos. Raul Henderson, Primordial Defense, thank you for watching.